Well, here we are again. It is 4 minutes past 9. In about 5 minutes, we're going to join Dr. Mark Maybe, Professor of Innovation, and is a tremendous guy too. And I'm happy to say that he rescheduled his morning this morning to accommodate us. There is people known as troopers in this industry, and he's one of them, which is absolutely terrific. So I shall take a moment just to invite him along to our party and to join you with his own brand of humor, but also education. And he's a very, very knowledgeable guy, I may say, and a very good educator, a very good teacher. And there are an awful lot of people that aren't good teachers who are in the profession. It's one of those things that you often in most professions get people who aren't particularly good at what they do. But Mark is particularly one of the things that he keeps on popping up with is a fountain pen, and it's amazing how many of you don't know what a fountain pen is. It's particularly young people. And the fountain pen, and actually, many people wouldn't ever have experienced a wooden stick with a nib attached to the end, which is what we had in school when I was just a young lad, having had a birthday yesterday, and I'm now I don't hide it. I'm 84. I've had a few experiences over my life that most people haven't had. Many millions did, but most of them have dropped off the roost, off the perch, which I haven't actually done yet. And I'm hopefully, I don't want to go, but if I do, I do. And that's it. Let's enjoy life to the absolute full. One thing that is really upsetting me is that my scooter, something's gone wrong with my scooter, which I've got to try and get fixed today. Because my blue hat can't be seen around town unless I have my scooter. Oh dear, 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 no. And it's one of those things that is an essential to a young man around town. So in just a few minutes' time, we'll go to Mark, and then we have Stuart Dolby at 10 o'clock. And he has his exploration of the killing fields. Once again, there are a lot of people that wouldn't mean anything to. But during the 60s and the 70s, there were some vicious wars in Southeast Asia, not least of which is in Cambodia, where a gentleman called Pol Pot managed to take over. And he killed all the intelligentsia, all the doctors, all the educated people, to try and rusticate the country again. And he killed millions. And they said that while there, you could walk and your feet would crunch on crushed skulls. And Stuart Dolby was there, and his guest, who was the reporter of note of that particular time, and who gave us a first installment last week, and is going to give us another installment this week. So we've got an interesting morning for you, and hopefully we've got. I'm not sure whether we've got John Henty today or tomorrow. With everything that was going on, I didn't have a chance to check with him. But anyway, you got the delight of him, and he's just funny. He's just really funny. and bringing Max Miller back to life for us. And let's see, we're at about 9:10 now, so we should expect Mark very, very shortly. And he'll be here with his famous fountain pen. And the other thing that he that he has that is magic that nobody wants. Isn't it amazing? We don't get any sun at all, and then when on the days that I broadcast from here, what happens is the sun comes out and gets into my eyes. It's quite remarkable. It's quite remarkable. Anyway, we hope that we'll have Mark in a moment. In the meantime, I'm going to have a cup of coffee or a little sip of coffee. Those of you who are regular will know that I have Parkinson's, and yes, it means that I can't walk terribly well. But there are one or two little things that manifest themselves. First of all, doing up the buttons of my shirt. I have my nurse helping me on doing that. But one of the things is it dries out my mouth. And there's not much I can do about it because it's all to do with the control that's up here. We try to control it with a drug called dopamine, and it does do a pretty fair job. But there are one or two things that go wrong, and there's not much I can do about it. I just have to fight over it, which I do, and I refuse to let this disease get me down. And I'm happy to say that I've been able to be help to one or two people who got quite despondent about having Parkinson's, and they didn't handle it terribly well, and I'm happy to say I've given them some support, because actually, if you laugh at it, if you tell it to bugger off, to be put bluntly, it actually does. It does pay attention. Positive thought, positive thought solves a lot of problems, or at least helps to solve a lot of problems. It doesn't on its own, of course, but it needs some backup and some background to it. But here we are. And we are busy broadcasting, and we're just waiting for Mark. I hope that he got the link. I rail against computers. I have my go at them, but let's face it, we wouldn't be able to do what we do in broadcasting from Mirador if we actually hadn't got a computer and all the things that computers bring. So we have to look at the benefits of this as much as we. Let's see if we. Just make sure that I've got the link that we use in this magic thing through today, through to Mark. He hasn't come through yet. I'm always a little nervous because much as it is brilliant, this system, it does have its failings, and it does actually go wrong from time to time, and We just want to make sure that we are not waiting for something that's not going to occur. So there you are. We hope for Mark, maybe. And there's a rap on the door. Could be that Stuart is coming in or coming up, or it could be somebody delivering. Actually, one of the fascinating things about sitting here is to see how a pub is run first thing in the morning. It's very educational, and as a matter of fact, here is. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Keith. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. And it's very good of you to join us a little early today. You recall listening to the two gentlemen last week about the killing fields.
Yes.
They're coming back at 10, and there is no way that we're going to miss you, because you're one of the favourites with our people, and we need your advice and so on. Incidentally, my mind has been racing since we talked last week. Did you say that you actually know this chap with 1,000 pubs?
Yeah, I do. Yes, Tim Martin.
Right. Well, I've got a wonderful plan that we involve the university with this brewery and with Mirador. So we must talk it through.
Yeah, I think so. In fact, I was going to send him an email actually to see whether he might have time to join us one Wednesday on here to talk about.
That would be very, very good.
What he's done. He started off with just one pub in Ancoats, 1981, and his dad died and left him £10,000. And he said, "I'm going to sell cheap beer, half price spirits." He said, "You're mad. You're absolutely mad, man." He said, "No, it'll get all the students." And sure as well, it packed. The pub was packed every single night, 7 nights a week. And then I left university then and went separate ways. And 20-something odd years later, he's got 636 pubs.
Wow, fantastic.
And some of them have, and they are so significantly, for students, but for everyone in the current environment, Keith. I don't know if perhaps haven't got a Spoons in Lewes, but for example, down here in sunny Stoke, Wetherspoons sells a large glass of red wine for £2.32.
Right.
And I went to the Great Smoke a couple of weeks ago. I think I said this perhaps last time, and went upstairs to the Euston tap upstairs, and they poured me a glass of wine. So that's £15.
Yes, ridiculous, isn't it?
And it's really interesting. It's an interesting model, and it's perhaps a model a bit like the education that we're talking about. That there are lots of pubs in Stoke-on-Trent, just for example, and there are only maybe 3 or 4 people in there at lunchtime. Whereas Wetherspoons is packed. They open at 8 in the morning till 1 in the morning, and they have different groups of people coming in at different times. And it's one of the I've been thinking about it, and it was sort of a model that I thought for the new university, because a lot of people are working and they've got family commitments. So to have the university working at weekends, working in the evenings, will mean that people can have easy access. And it was really the Wetherspoons model that sparked my mind to think this would be a really great way to run the university. But it's very interesting that no one else has been able to jump on that bandwagon. And indeed, they serve normally at least 6 or 8 real ales, and they change them every couple of days. They change, and that's what attracts people in. People come in.
Absolutely.
Students come in. It's a great place for elderly people because it's nice and warm. You can get a cup of coffee for £1.25, and you can just sit in the nice warm. It's buzzing with atmosphere, and it's just what you want from a pub, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I mean, we say that we're the University of Innovation. I think that there are some areas, if we get a bit of cooperation from people, that we could be very innovative. I mean, one of the things that this government has done consistently is encouraged youngsters in school to be entrepreneurs.
Mm.
And yet, the moment that they get out of school, is they make it very, very difficult for them to be entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
Entrepreneurs have to be free thinking. They have to put up with all sorts of bureaucracy and all sorts of things, no less than if they were in work, where they would have somebody who would do it for them. And I think it's time that we shook them up. Yes, I'm on your side. Now, before we go any further, where's the fountain pen?
I haven't got it with me today because I'm at my mum's house today. So I haven't got a fountain pen. I've just got a felt tip pen. You know, that's fairly old fashioned, isn't it?
Yes, it is nowadays.
It's yes. Although I did find a really lovely Keith, and it reminded me of you. And it says on the side of it, "Special friend. Friends are like flowers; they brighten your day." It reminded me of you, Keith.
Well, you certainly brighten ours, and I'm very tempted. You know that we were doing sort of three days a week, and we want to push back to 4. I'm very tempted, busy though you are, to see whether I can actually get you to do another half hour each week, because it is so. We're taking things so far forward, and I want you to start to put in the back of your mind is Harry Atherton, our correspondent in Normandy, is very keen for us to also get involved in the little town whose name I've just escaped in Normandy. And in August, they have a very, very one of the finest medieval pageants anywhere in France. And he wants us to be involved with that as well. So put your mind on. We might take a series of student nights down there.
That could joust. Be
Absolutely. One of the things with you in here and Harry and one or two more who are really very innovative is I have no idea where this television station is going to lead us. All I know is it's an exciting bloody road.
I have to say, since I've been watching Mirador for a long time, Keith, just keeping up with you, and I always think it's really great because there's such a depth of variety. You don't really, and even there are 9,000 channels on the TV now, but they're all just showing repeats. And apart from some beautiful nature programs, they're all pretty much the same. Whereas you really do hit the nail on the head with this with Mirador and the characters.
I'm glad you enjoy them, but now you're part of them. You brighten it even more.
Hey, Keith, I have got something to show you. Do you remember these? Paperweight.
A lemon squeezer, is it?
No, it's a paperweight.
Oh yes, a paperweight.
Those old-fashioned things when you used to have to put something down on the paper.
We don't have any paper now, do we?
We don't have any paper. Paperless. In fact, what's more ridiculous, you used to be able to hear in Newcastle on the Lyme, you used to be able to get your bus pass from the library. You could go into the library and get your bus pass. And now you've got to do it all online. And I said to the guy in the library, not being funny, but how many people over the age of 60 or 65 are really IT savvy and can do all this online, including downloading a photograph and things like this? It's absolutely barking mad. Surely people should be able to come into the library as they used to, take a picture of you, put the card through the laminator, and you got your card. And when I used to go into the library, there used to be queues of people to do that. Now they put it all online, and they were saying that the number of people traveling on the buses has gone down by about 60%. And I said it's most probably because people haven't got bus passes because they can't they can't access it on the system, or they haven't got younger people. I know some people like yourself are very IT savvy, but a lot of people aren't.
No.
It is that there are areas of development and innovation, Keith, that I think for certain groups. I was really pleased also to hear that the railway station ticket offices aren't going to be closing.
Yes.
Because the thought of having to book all your tickets, I do on this thing, but if the battery runs out on it, you're scuppered really. I think innovations, as you say, is fantastic, and you're absolutely right about young people. The government's always really keen to push them, but actually becoming an entrepreneur, getting any money from the bank, particularly at the moment, is difficult. Interest rates are high. Not many, that you used to be able to get. Some of the banks used to do sort of a free startup loan that they give you, which was interest free for 2 years. None of them seem to do that now. So doing something entrepreneurial, like buying a cafe and setting it up, or that sort of thing. We have a delicacy which I'll bring down to you, Keith, called oat cakes. Have you come across these stuffed your oat cakes?
No, I haven't.
They're like,
that doesn't mean anything, because I'm sort of quite a specific eater now. Now that I'm at an elderly age.
They're nice. They're made of oat, and they're a bit like a pancake, but they're much thinner. And you put cheese and bacon in them and roll them up. They're absolutely
that sounds good. Must have a go at that. Yeah.
Yes, very tasty. I'll perhaps do a demonstration one of these weeks on.
Why not? What a good idea!
Demonstrate it to you.
What a good idea! That's terrific. Mark, where are our young men now? Oh, incidentally, I meant to say your mother's house, because I know you lost her a couple of weeks or so ago.
Yeah.
Your mother's house looks absolutely gorgeous, and she must have had a great joy living in a place like that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful little Tudor cottage down a little path, and it's pretty unique, really. It's really dinky, but it's beautiful. Yeah, she lived here for 37 years in this house, and it's full of sort of her. I think I picked it up. It's full of her sort of memorabilia. She collected clocks and glasses. Unbelievable. She's got boxes of old spectacles and things. So yeah, it's beautiful. It reminded me of the white heart.
Right. Yes, indeed.
These things.
No, it's lovely. Right now, sorry, it was just when I saw that I wanted to mention it before I forgot, because it's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Now, where are our two young men? Where are we on that ladder?
Well, they're still actively meeting investors. I think they've got nearly £1 million now in investment, which is quite amazing, really. And I think it does show entrepreneurial spirit.
Absolutely.
Both of them are only in their mid-20s, 25 and 26, I think. They're very entrepreneurial, and Will Hill is really the entrepreneur that's going out meeting people. And then young Rob Pickerschool, he's doing quite a lot of the paperwork, putting together for the School of Innovation. So between them, they make a really good team, and I sort of act as that bit of glue in the middle of giving them a bit of old man's advice and things. And I will try and get them on before. I want them to come on before Christmas.
Yes, I mean, you think younger than most young men, for God's sake.
Well, they're a bit scared, actually, Keith. I've invited them a few times, and they keep finding excuses. So I said, before Christmas, otherwise you won't get any presents under the Christmas tree. You've got You've got to come and see.
It's not only painless, but it's fun.
I said that, and you got to meet Uncle Keith. I said, because Uncle Keith's going to be on our board of directors for the university, and Mirador will be a really integral part of the whole presentation, really, of the School of Innovation. And in many ways, the Open University has been really successful, and as you know, most of that is online. And in fact, I used to teach for the Open University, running their summer schools.
Right.
But they were only successful because they did have some face-to-face activity, and that's why we think it's important that we will do things online like this. But we want to bring people in, not for lectures, but bring people in to run interactive workshops, have employers coming in and talking a little bit about putting a television program together, and then getting people in groups to actually come up with some subjects and actually put together a little 15-minute presentation, and then do that 15-minute presentation, etc. So they get real hands-on experience, and they're assessed on that experience, and actually they're assessed not by academics, but a combination of academics and employers.
Yes.
Who will say, yeah, that's really good, or no, and say, yeah, that's that's a really good bit of work, that's worth it.
Well, for people interested in law, I've already got the agreement of our one of our bees, Richard, that he is head of chambers of a quite large legal firm in Brighton, and he's agreed that he will be part of this operation, and that there is the opportunity for him to be a lecturer if you so desire, but also a practical experience in his chambers. So we're beginning to people are beginning to realise this is not only fun but different and useful and necessary. Absolutely required in this day and age. So we're motoring. We're beginning to motor.
No, it's great. I think it's, as I say, and if we can deliver things in a flexible sort of way, I get lots of comments from people that have got children and the such like to say, we can't afford to go to university. I think I don't know if I said this to you last week, but a really nice lady said to me, I'd really like to do a course. She said, but I earn £58 a day, and I have to pay £52 a day to the childminder, so it's not worth me. It's a whole day's work that I have to pay out, plus the day that I don't work. So I think having this flexibility of doing evenings, weekends, when their partners or spouses might be at home, so they can look after the kids, that will give that flexibility to people. And having these satellites, we know that our first satellite will be in Lewes, and having that satellite will mean that people from all around the area, even I guess coming out to Brighton, could, although you've got there is a good university in Brighton.
We've got several universities in Brighton, and I think that Lewes is a good idea, particularly for something that is going to be somewhat different to the universities in Brighton. But if they've got any sense at all, is they'll cooperate with us and not see us as any sort of threat. Because I've found is taking in students from the established universities is for instance, they can use a camera extremely well, they can edit extremely well, but understanding what television is all about is they haven't a clue, and they actually rear back from it because their professors have been telling them one thing and the reality is another. So no, I think that we are suitable for that niche, which hopefully won't be a niche for very long.
No, hopefully it won't be a niche, and once we've piloted it and got the little gremlins out of the system, and they shouldn't be big, because the sort of people that will get involved in this, as you rightly say, people like Richard, your good self, others that are very experienced in the field, and we could start in some specific areas. Law is a good one. Media and journalism is a particularly interesting area for people. So if we just pick some more niche areas to start off with, we could see how that goes, and do something really different but exciting.
Yes, I mean, there are a whole host of things that we can do, but also, of course, you're being very sensible. What you're doing is you're throwing the stone into the pond, and it is rippling across all sorts of
Yes,
different people, so that almost from day one is, if we can't do it, we know a man who does.
exactly. Yeah, no, that,
And we can get quite a network going, I think. I mean, I'm we now is a bad time winding down to Christmas. Nobody ever wants to do anything at Christmas, but I think that we are ready to hit the ground running on the 2nd of January or the
yeah,
3rd of January,
absolutely.
whatever it is, the first Monday, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the time
Yeah,
to
and even
hit.
if we start in a very tiny way,
Yeah,
it will be established. But I
yeah,
mean,
hit that
that's
button.
up to your two young men. I'm not trying to impose myself or our thoughts on them, but I think that their key idea, I think we've picked up on, and motoring in the right way. Incidentally, the other thing I was going to say was when we've got a premises. It might be an idea to have one tiny little room that is a museum for all the sort of things that you point out people
Yes,
don't understand. The fountain pen,
yes,
a pocket watch, the paperweight, uh,
yes.
all those things that you not only are they not aware of, but where the hell do they find them nowadays?
Yeah, absolutely. It's I used to there used to be things called flea markets. Do you remember them, Keith? Flea markets, and they I don't know why they were called flea markets, but someone can tell us. But you could go and a bit like car boot sales, which have sort of gone down a
Yes,
little bit. You could pick up wonderful things in these flea markets, and I used to go around them in Manchester and pick things up for 50p or
yeah.
a pound,
Oh
clean
yes,
clean them up and I've been shocked that I used to collect clocks and I still do collect clocks and some of the clock I used to buy a clock for a pound and then buy another one and then do them up and then sell them for £5 and then buy a £5 clock um, and some of the clocks that I've got now are worth a lot of money but I only paid about £20 for them 40 years ago.
yeah.
But it's interesting because my mum's house is full of old things, and I realised that quite a lot of it people aren't interested in anymore.
No,
Um,
can I tell you? Well, first of all, let me say that you plumped on the right place because Lewis has got about half a dozen flea markets and good
Beautiful.
ones too. And my grandson came down on one occasion, and he went hoking around, and he bought an old sit up and beg typewriter, and that's
Ah,
what he was looking for, and he found it. But on your clock collection is a friend of mine who was as crazy as we are, a chap called Fred Hill. And Fred actually made headlines the world over because he would do crazy things. But one of them was driving a golf ball off the top of the hotel on the Strand over the Thames. but Fred came up with this clock, and it was sort of a ringmaster type clock with the clock in the middle of the stomach.
mm,
And he said he got it and he was just intrigued by it and he cleaned it.
mm.
There was the maker, P.T. Barnum of
Wow,
Barnum and Bailey Circus. And
wow,
P.T. Barnum was not only a great showman, circus man, but he was a clockmaker.
good, good. Yes, I realise. Yes, and in fact, I think I think if I could just leave you for 1 minute, I can perhaps bring you exactly one of those. Can I do that?
Yes, yes, absolutely. I'd love to see it. Yeah. It's amazing the things that straddle the world, is P.T. Barnum. For those people who don't know, the great three-ring circuses were put on by P.T. Barnum. It was something of a showman, something of a rogue, but it turns out it was a clockmaker. Oh, is that a P.T. Barnum?
It is.
Oh, that's marvelous.
How about
There.
that?
You see, I'm able to mention something, and what does he do?
Well,
Miraculously, he
yeah,
pulls
there's a
it out of
clock
the
and
hat. Yeah.
you wind the clock and it keeps really lovely time. But it's yeah, it's a little ringmaster, as you rightly say, Keith.
Yes. It's
How about that?
marvelous.
How about that?
Well, do you know something? I never did see his P.T. Barnum clock, and now I've seen one.
You've
I
seen
can
one
go to
live.
my grave happy.
You've seen one live on TV, live on 29th of November.
Absolutely. Hold it up again just for a minute, will you? Because there are people who will like to look at it, and of course, one of the things about this program is it's interesting where we live we get, say, I don't know, a dozen or so people. Is over a period of a month, that program will sometimes show as many as 1,000 to 1,500
Wow.
watching, and so it's good for people to be able to freeze it if necessary to take a look,
Yeah,
which is
it's quite.
yeah.
It's got a
Oh,
little,
that is marvelous. That's wonderful. Was that your
tiny
mother's?
key. Yes, a little tiny key that you wind it with,
Right.
and it ticks away beautifully.
And your mother was quite a collector then.
Yeah, she. I know she must have about 30 clocks, I think, in all.
Wow.
Most probably, I remember having this clock when I was a kid, and I was always absolutely intrigued by it because of the clock, and
Yeah.
she used to wind it, and it's got quite a loud tick, and but it's very unusual, and I haven't seen another one, Keith. So that's really interesting.
Well, they do exist. They're quite rare. For goodness' sake, hold on to it. Don't get rid of it. I mean, I'm glad you're a clock collector anyway.
Oh yeah,
because that's something else that from time to time is not a bad thing to show. I think that perhaps one of the things that might be a side effect of our university, and I hope you don't mind me saying our university because I'm beginning to feel proprietorial towards it, is we might well start to turn out rare people, because clockmakers are going to be rare people.
Yeah.
And if we can turn out the odd clockmaker because of your passion, that would be terrific, wouldn't it?
Well, finding
you would never lose work.
Yeah, well, finding anybody to repair clocks is really difficult. And I say 40 years ago, I think I told you this story. I met an old guy called Sid, and he was the one that got me interested in collecting clocks. And he got these massive hands. They were absolutely enormous. He got fingers like sausages. But he managed to repair these tiny little cogs on these clocks. And I was always amazed by it. And he taught me some basic things to do in clock repairing, which I can sort of do basic repairs. But finding someone that's got that skill now is really difficult.
Indeed, it is.
To find.
It is.
And it
must not die out, because if there's one thing that I think that you and I can do is we can wear things that students should be aware of. So we'll make all lecturers or teachers or whatever we call them must wear a hunter.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I haven't got my pocket watch on today. Actually, it escaped me. So, but I've got about 35 pocket watches.
Oh gosh! Well, I've actually sold mine, and over the years, and what I plan to do is to go down to the flea market now that you've talked to me about the flea market, and we'll. I shall get myself one because I intend to wear it whenever we actually appear in front of students.
Yes, absolutely.
The old man has come in from the FT.
I can see Stuart's arrived.
Yeah, here's another one who will impart all sorts of interesting things about journalism to the students. We got the team is gathering, as it were.
Gathering, and I think I don't look very good in a hat, but you both look very elegant in your hat. Stuart's got a beautiful hat on as well today, so looking very, very smart.
Let me. many years ago, started off by wearing a hat and a scarf because, as you well know, and as I taught the students in Notting Hill, you need something that is a bit different and for viewers to focus on. And in fact, even today, people come up and say, I recognize the hat, I recognize the scarf, I just don't recognize the face.
That's what happens to me, isn't it?
But he walks down the street in his hat, and he says people say hello to him, and they recognize his hat.
They say hello, Stuart. Hat.
Yes. Oh, where did I get that hat from? Yes, I think I need a hat. Yes, it's interesting because I do know I haven't got my pocket watch on, but I've got a pocket watch, and I don't know if I've shown you, but I've got a whistle on the end of it, I used to use it a lot in teaching because it was a really good way, even with adults, it was a really good way, one, to make them laugh, but to blow in the whistle. And I was one of the things that people remember me for, and often do. They often say, I remember your whistle, Mark. That was the thing. And you're right. It's little things like that, isn't it? That just spark people's imagination. But people don't wear elegant hats like yours, Keith.
Stuart just wants to pass on something to me.
John is very anxious that we do it at 10 o'clock.
It's okay. Yeah. Yes, Mark, God bless him. Say thank you to Mark because he moved his slot forward so that we could get on at 10 o'clock for you.
No, but Mark who?
Is it Mark?
Mark Ted.
Yes, Mark maybe. Dr. Mark.
Hi, Stuart. How are you, Stuart? Looking very elegant, Stuart, as ever.
We'll be done in about 7 minutes, which gives us time to actually call everybody up and get going at 10 o'clock.
Yes. Will you get a pint then, Keith? Do you tend to get when do you get your pint of ale?
Well, now Declan, who is you've never met a more generous host, and if in fact we get involved with your beer man, I'll tell you, he's a very good advisor. He's been in this business, man and boy, and runs one of the best pubs anywhere. I really mean that. He's a fantastic guy. So, as I say, we've got all the experts. Is amassing. The only thing is, I think what we should do is all go in on the next election and form the next government. Then
yes, I think so. I think we could do a better job than the current lot, don't you think?
No, it's only 22. We'll get to him by 10 o'clock. Stuart, okay. Stuart is champing at the bit a little bit. So another 5 minutes, Mark, and then I've got plenty of time to get hold of John. Right now, where do we stand in terms of the next steps?
So next steps is we just by Christmas, Rob will have put the application together that we'll put through to what's called the Office for Students, which is now the government agency for establishing universities, and they're the main body that controls university activity, and we'll put that in for an application and wait for feedback from that. And then we should, over the first 3 months of next year, should really start to be able to move things forward quite significantly.
That's great.
I
don't travel terribly well, but I'm quite prepared to come up and I will accept your invitation to become a member of the board if you still want that.
I'd love that. Yes, very much so.
Because I'm very excited by this, and I think that our team is going to be excited too. And as I've said to you, we just got an agreement from the director of the second most important opera company in New York. And I guess that if we're very innovative, we can start to look at a scholarship to send somebody over there.
That would be great.
That would be a real feather in our cap, would it not?
Yeah, one of the things that we wanted to do with one of the reasons we wanted to raise some money, significant sums of money, was that we also wanted to be a bit innovative, that people wouldn't have to take out massive loans, that we might actually give students bursaries and ideally bursaries that would lead to a job at the end of it as well, rather than, I think the recent statistics that I saw was that about 33% of students that graduate are unemployed after 6 months of graduation, and less than 50% of students actually go into what would be classified as graduate. I don't really know what a graduate job is, but go into a graduate job, I suppose, managerial. That's
well, we might be able to define our own idea of what a graduate job is.
Yes,
Mark, thank you very much for coming forward. We will say toodle pip so that I can get ready for John and tell us about the killing fields. Sort of a bit of a different emphasis to what we've been talking about, but I think we had a jolly good chat this morning. And one of the things about that cottage of yours is it is a living museum. So for God's sake, don't get rid of it.
No, I had no intention of. No, I'm living here at the moment, so it's very nice.
It's called a professor of innovation, but your background is in engineering, is it not, Mark?
No, medical microbiology.
Microbiology.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Oh, he's one of the great guys of this world. Yes. Yeah. So he's joining a good team.
And a great team with Stuart and Keith. So I'll let you get on with the next section, and I'll watch that with interest from this little cottage. Have a great day, Keith.
Okie doke. Thanks, Mark. And I will probably talk to you in the week, because I think that one or two things we need to get ready. We lost him. Let's see. Okay, it's 10-2. I'm going to say toodle pip, and then we will go back and very quickly and get we'll get John on, and we can kick off by 10 o'clock. Okay. There you go.
So you've got his email, haven't you? JON.
Yes, it'll be there. Just let me get rid of this, and we can do it. There we go. We've got to find video clips first, haven't we? There we go. From Lewis in the Black Horse Pub.